it's basically a singular memory. You know, my mother packed up 5 kids, and we went over and visited with him and had lunch in the Duluth Superior area, probably in August of '75. Don't remember a whole lot about it, except we were kids and we were running around a table, probably raising hell. And we enjoyed an afternoon with him, and that was basically the only memory that I had at that time. But we were fortunate enough actually to go back with him to the Fitzgerald and actually watch him climb the ladder to board it along with his best friend, Freddie Beecher.
And that's your really last and only memory?
Truly, yeah.
What did you think of the ship when you saw it?
It was just majestic, right? And nothing like I'd ever seen before. We grew up in Lakeland and in Hubble, and years prior there were large ships that would come in and drop off coal and such, but it was very infrequent. So to see a ship that size up close was pretty awe-inspiring.
At 5 years old, did you get the sense, well, there's just something about this ship, or was it just, hey, it's a cool big ship at 5 years old?
I just thought it was cool that my grandfather was climbing on board the thing, right? I was like, we wanted to go as well, but there was no way we were getting on that ladder.
Kevin, what do you remember about your grandfather?
Actually, I don't have any memories of him. After my mom passed and stuff like that, I wish I did. You know, I hear these cool stories and stuff of him being in the Marine Corps, and I was supposed to go in the Marine Corps when I first got out of high school and stuff like that, you know, and to hear that he fought in World War II in Iwo Jima and stuff, you know, and to hear all the good stories about him where he was the prankster, he was always joking around, but he was the one that people would go to when they had a problem or someone to talk to. He was that guy, you know, and it just shows the character, how good of a person he was, you know what I mean, where you want to be there to, you know, screwing around and have fun, but when you need somebody, he would be there to help you out and get you through what you were going through.
What did your mom tell you about your grandpa and what kind of man he was?
Oh, goodness. Yeah. It's kind of hard to go back and create all those stories, but you know, he was driven. He enjoyed sailing. I can't imagine what that'd be like, you know, to be a father with young children at home, and you know, I have a deep appreciation for what mariners do. Somebody's got to do the job, and it's not an easy job to balance family and work and work-life balance is something that we talk about these days, but back then it probably wasn't as prevalent. But she was very proud of him. Obviously, she loved him dearly, and didn't get to see him as much as she would like. And of course, really cherished the opportunity when he would have the winter layover and come home and such. And like Kevin said, he was very funny. He was very popular. People gravitated towards him because of a larger than life personality that it appears that he had, and I think that transcended generations, right? So.
Yeah, we definitely have Ransom's genes.
He looks more like him, though, right?
Yeah.
Your grandpa was obviously one of the people that found his way to the Great Lakes. What kind of person did it take to sail on the Great Lakes?
Yeah, I couldn't even begin
be a strong
to tell
person.
you.
Yeah, I mean, to be away from your family for that many months at a time, and the dangers in the job, you know, where that's a special kind of person. Where, I mean, think about it, when they're in the middle of the lake, it's dark, you can't see anything. You know what I mean? And that would just be eerie in itself to be in that, and then the waves and never know which way they're coming, you know, or even trying to sleep in there, you know, tossing and turning, where it takes a special person to do that.
Yeah, and I just kind of think back to the time, you know, he started sailing in the 60s. It was a different era. The communications weren't there, so when you got on board that boat, they had tug barges that would pick up the mail, and that was your only communication with your family, right? So you were gone for months, and you're lucky enough if they came into harbor or port that you may be able to see them if they were able to get off the vessel for just a short while on visit. Like my grandfather in August of '75 when we were able to have lunch with him. So
that was one of those onshore brief stopover kind of visits that you guys had.
And it takes a strong wife to be able to put up with their being gone and having to take care of the kids and everything else while their husband's gone. You know, tough on the family, where
Yeah.
you
Well,
can be strong.
yeah. Obviously, it's no secret. If you do some research on my grandfather, you understand that he went through some real heartache leading up to the.
Yeah. Yeah.
You get emotional still thinking about him.
Yeah, well, and with my mom dying and the way she died and stuff like that, it's tough, But
What do you remember about November 11th of 75? Your mom, Cheryl, how she was doing and how she told you?
Yeah, the interesting thing was I was kindergarten or preschool or something like that back then, and the rest of my brothers and sisters had gone to school, and I was home with my youngest sister, and it just sometime in that morning, word started to spread that there was a ship missing, and it came out later that it was Edmund Fitzgerald. Of course, we knew what that meant. My mother did, and as kids, we obviously experienced the anguish and the heartache and the gathering of family who didn't have any answers because we never heard anything but what we got from the news. The families were never contacted by the owner of the ship directly. It was something that we had to get through the media at that time. So to process that and realizing that he wasn't coming home, and then the days that followed, having a casket without a body for a funeral was pretty tough. And we spent the next several days at my grandmother and my aunt's house. We were a very, very large family, especially my grandmother and her sisters in the Copper Country and Michigan's Upper Peninsula. And so we were surrounded by family, waiting answers that never came.
Do you still want those answers 50 years later, or is part of you, I guess, accepted that they just might not come, and in maybe some ways it doesn't, it might sound harsh to say, doesn't matter?
Yeah, I don't think, and I'm speaking for myself, but in conversations I had with other family members, of other crew members as well, I don't believe we're ever going to get those answers, and we've had closure. We've had a gravesite consecration ceremony aboard the Mackinac. That was a tremendous civil and church service. Reverend Ingalls from Mariners Church presided over it. How perfect was that? We've got protection over the site. And we've asked the province of Ontario and the state of Michigan, who've enacted laws to protect sites against dives and photographing remains. And I feel like we've got that closure, and I think it's left to others who want the ultimate answer, and I don't think there's but one person that has that answer. And maybe 29 of them when we get to see them someday.
Right.
But yeah, we've had our closure. Very happy that the men still are recognized for their dedication. But I don't want the 50th anniversary of the Fitzgerald sinking to be just about the men and the Fitzgerald. It should be about the dedication, the courage it takes for all mariners who are still sailing today and providing us with the service.
Kevin, how did you find out about your grandpa and what happened?
I honestly don't remember anything because, I don't know if it was because of dealing with the shock of what I went through, and I got adopted to a different family and stuff like that. So I really don't remember, or yeah, it sucks.
Yeah.
What do you remember about how it impacted your mom?
Oh, she went through hell. She had.
Another second. Oh, geez, there's two of them. Dang it.
Uh-huh.
I'll go have a little chat with them.
Yeah, tell them who you are, Kev.
Right, yeah, you guys are starting over on that end.
Right. Hey, shut
Yeah,
them down.
your mom went through hell.
Yeah, she truly did. I mean, the loss of her sister unexpectedly just a year prior, and then dealing with the loss of her father, and then just the personal struggles that she had in her own personal life, and raising 5 kids during that period was very hard. I think we all turned out pretty well in the end, but and somehow she persevered, and she was just mom, at home, stay-at-home mom raising the kids, and years later we would see what her true potential was, and how stubborn and she could be, especially when up against things like the dives that were happening on a Fitzgerald. It really showed a different commitment that her own courage in stepping out from what we saw as mom. She
That probably helped
she's
her with her
amazing.
closure too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Getting all this where that probably helped her out a lot, you know, with the bell and stuff like that, where she finally could be at peace with it.
Yeah, and so 74, she loses her sister Jan. 75, she loses her dad. 76, suddenly there's a song on the radio from Gordon Lightfoot. And there still wasn't any sense of closure, no contact with the shipping company. It was just everything ended. But then the song came out, and she wasn't very happy with it at first, and she grew to appreciate it and understand why Gordon wrote the song. And it shot up to number 2 in the pop charts in the U.S., which is crazy. And we would, growing up, sing that song in our class in grade school, and classmates still remember us bringing that forth and such. But yeah, my mother would actually visit with my stepdad. They weren't married at the time, but they would take trips to Whitefish Point before the museum was even present. It was just a lighthouse, and this goes back to around 1978. So she was always looking for closure, and that was the closest that she could be, was Whitefish Point.
Yeah.
So
17 miles away. Is that a golf cart?
Yeah.
yep.
Got a Hemi on that.
Yeah, so she would go to Whitefish, and it was just a lighthouse at that time. The museum wasn't commissioned until '85, and that was closest she could be to her dad at that time.
17 miles away.
Correct.
Does it bother either of you that the ship has become commercialized at all, or that it is the most well-known, that it is the most popular wreck on the Great Lakes?
You want to go first?
I mean, I wore my Whitefish Point shirt. I was not going to wear the Edmund Fitzgerald. I've purchased stuff myself from the museum. I haven't purchased from anyone but. And early on, especially around 1994 when the dives were taking place, and we really felt like the shipwreck was being exploited, and we felt it was quite tacky that there was a commercial value to a shipwreck that lost 29 men. You don't see that with other disasters in the country. Titanic, sure, but the Fitzgerald's kind of taken on a commercialism of its own. Sure. And I'm resigned to the fact that we're not going to stop it. I just wish and hope that people do it respectfully and for the right purpose. And there's some pretty tacky things that you can buy with the Fitzgerald emblem or logo on it. And I think we'd be completely against anything that had a depiction of our grandfather. That wouldn't fly very well.
Yeah, I wish that, they at least contact the family members. Here, this is our idea. Do you have any objections? Or I know it'd be hard to get a hold of every family member, but check in with a couple. They got Edmund Fitzgerald beer now and stuff,
It's actually good beer.
Yeah.
It's a porter
Right.
out of Cleveland. That's very good beer, yes.
Ironic that it's a porter out of Cleveland.
yeah. That is funny.
Do you ever think about Ransom's final moments?
Yes.
And what those guys
I do, and I think Kevin can recollect further in a book that he read I've never seen. But I had the opportunity, growing up as kids, we would pretend we were on the Fitzgerald. No, we didn't act out any dying moments or final moments of the boat sinking. We just thought it was, hey, it's the Fitzgerald. It's cool. We're sailing on a boat. But I've seen a depiction on stage. Shelley Russell wrote Holding Our Own. She was an NMU professor a number of years back, and I went and saw it, and it was a great portrayal, and at the very end it was just a very somber ending where they dimmed the lights, and that settled well with me, because I wouldn't imagine the hell that they had to go through.
You think they were going through hell?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. About 10 years ago, I didn't go to the memorial, and it was around 7 o'clock, and I happened to be taking a shower. And I was thinking about my grandpa, and I had my back to the shower, and I was sitting there thinking, I was like, man, what was he going through at this point in time? I could only imagine. And then I was like, I couldn't imagine drowning. I couldn't. And then as soon as I thought that, I turned to rinse my face off, and I got a mouthful of water, and I started choking. And I'm like, okay, now I know.
Yeah.
But I couldn't imagine being in that darkness, waves, 30, 40 feet, especially coming from behind and hit, where, yeah, that had to have been,
it's interesting because, there are times, we grew up on the lake here. I grew up we've been all over Upper Peninsula and Lake Superior. And every now and then you get something that creeps into your head. And, when you go and dive in and you're underneath the waves, there's just an odd, creepy feeling about it. Yeah, and you never know what it's going to hit, but it'll always be with us.
And with all us Upers, or about 80-90% of the people you talk to, you mention the Fitzgerald sink, and everyone has a memory of that storm and how bad it was, where everybody remembers it, that, where those don't come around that, where. But it's weird that even some of my friends, 5 years old, they remember that storm. They didn't even know that my grandfather was on there, but they still remember how fierce that storm was.
What do you think when we're on a bay right now, but it leads into Lake Superior? What do you think when you look out on Lake Superior?
Respect that water.
Yeah.
A tremendous amount.
Yep. Yeah, you have to have respect for it, where you see too many people coming up, tourists and stuff, and they go out there and they don't have a clue, like once you get past Sand Point there, what you're getting yourself into and how fast it can change, where you could be calm as can be, and the next thing you know, there's huge waves, and yeah, you don't want to take it for granted.
For you guys, it's a grave site too.
Yes.
Yeah, the whole lake's a grave site. Of course, Whitefish Point has its own semblance. I mean, the location being the closest on land that you can get to the site. But we enjoy the lake, but we respect the lake, and there's a romanticism with it.
Calming,
but she can be ugly too.
Yeah.
We've all witnessed that if you've grown up or you spend any amount of time here.
In how big and how fierce the lake can be, but it can be so calming too, where if you're having a bad day or whatever, you come sit on the beach, your troubles just go away, Unlike that.
Now they're cutting. Now they're cutting grass.
Now they're really cutting. You might have to work around that.
Yeah.
Kevin, could you kind of repeat that just a little bit too, kind of how you described the lake? It was calm and can be.
Yeah, I mean, it's how fast the lake can change, where 1 minute, it's calm as can be, and next thing you know, there's 10, 12-foot waves, and it just on the drop of the hat, where, yeah, Lake Superior makes its own weather, so.
There's some reports, at least according to the Anderson, your grandpa was facing 30 to 40-foot waves that night. We're, what is it, roughly 5-6 months away from 50 years. How should your grandpa and the rest of the crew on the Fitzgerald be remembered?
Let's see out this guy.
Come on, buddy, move.
All right.
Circles around again.
Right. We got time, though. It's okay.
Uh-huh. Hey, give me a chance to wipe my nose. It's cold air. Holy crap.
It's colder than I was expecting. Is that saying in the Midwest, it's not the temperature that'll get you, it's not the cold that'll get you, it's the wind?
Yeah.
Oh, now they're going in tandem.
Well, once they get out of this area, we'll just have to wait 5 minutes, I think.
Yeah, just like the weather. There we go. Yeah, 50 years later, how should they be remembered?
That's a toughie. Family members, that's I'm speechless here.
Yeah, I think just, yeah. He's going to come over this way.
Good, now it gives us time to think about our answer.
Yeah, we got a job to do. Can't believe I must planted some nice grass here because mine don't look like that.
Right.
Well, it's from when playing chicken shit bingo here on the 4th of July. No, they do actually. It's a big money raiser for the city.
Some good fertilizer.
Yeah.
He's going to fire up here in just a second.
Everyone's sitting around betting on numbers that they think the chicken's going to shit on. You know? Only Munising.
Yep. There we go.
All right, sounds good. Well, I think more than just the men themselves, it's the legacy, and the legacy they left. You know, it's the family that still remain, and I think it's an untold story about what the families have done over the years to remember the men and protect their gravesite, and how they came together to honor them. And a big part of that honor is the bell that was raised in 1995, and it's actually 30 years on July 4th.
Yeah.
I think people forget when they're caught up with the idea it's the 50th anniversary of the Fitzgerald sinking, but the bell was raised, and that was the family and their legacy on top of the men's.
I think in many ways the legacy of the ship is the family.
Yes.
Who carried the story on.
Yes.
Yep.
What does that bell mean to the families? I think it's easy to look at that and say it's just a bell.
Yeah.
Like it's just the ship's bell.
Wow.
Why is that so special to the families?
Well, the Shipwreck Society, Tom Farnquist, and the families had to move mountains to even get to that point. It wasn't until after the dives in '94 that discovered human remains potentially that the family started asking questions. And one of the first people that they went to was Tom Farnquist with the Great Lakes Shipwreck Historical Society. And we actually met in the basement of Mariners Church after the 19th anniversary of the Fitzgerald sinking. It had only been 19 years. And there was no closure. There was no bell at that time. There was no consecration over the site. So the families were still struggling. And Tom really couldn't answer the question about why they were diving. And so what he said, if there was anything that they could do for the families, and somebody brought it up, that the bell, if you're gonna go down, make it the last dive. Bring back the bell and make it as a permanent memorial. And so the bell it's the heart of the ship. Get a little emotional here.
Yeah, it's a piece of the ship, you know, where there's nothing else, you know, it's something concrete where you can see it when we go to ring it, you know, and where it's all that's left of it, you know what I mean? Yeah. Where everything else is at the bottom of the lake. This is one thing that they brought up, so it's kind of can give family members some closure when they see it as well, and come every year. It's like a little knit family, you know. Every year, you know, that certain people are going to be there, you know, and it's pretty cool that gives everyone a reason to get back together, you know, to possibly hear a story about a family member, or, you know.
You were telling me something interesting. Oh, go
but I just like to think of, truly think of the bell as the heart of the ship. But, and Kevin said it, it's the voice of the man, and we get to hear that on each anniversary. And it's just an unbelievable feeling to hear it.
Yeah, it has a really different tone when you ring it.
Yeah. And realizing, what all had to take place for that bell to be brought up. The coming together of the Canadian Navy, National Geographic, Sony Corporation, I know it's Harbor Branch Oceanographics out of Florida, and the museum. And then the U.S. and Canadian governments. There was full support for the bell being raised, and it's turned out to be everything that we had hoped for.
You said something interesting to me when we were setting this up, that it's sort of a new generation, a next generation that's carrying on the ship's legacy. Ruth passed away on the 40th, and right the day before the 40th anniversary. Your mom passed away a few years ago. So many of the sons and the daughters and the husbands and the wives have passed away, and now it's sort of on the grandkids to carry it on. There's a new generation discovering the ship, but there's also a new generation carrying on her
passing
story.
the torch.
Yeah, it's interesting. You know, the older generation is slowly leaving us, and not that we need to be spokespeople for it. They did such a fine job, and they helped to establish the Heritage Act in Ontario and the law, as we discussed, in the state of Michigan. It offers a protection, and the museum, the society, does a fantastic job. And basically, it's like our home base, right? That's where our club. We meet there once a year. You know, we venture up there on other occasion, and it's the legacies at the museum that's in the bell. And I don't know what more there is for us to do except continue to be a voice, asking people to continue to protect and respect the final resting place of the men. And that's something that we're always on watch.
Coming from a watchman.
Yeah.
You're up as a watchman. You know, it's
Yeah.
our turn to be watchmen now.
What was your grandpa's job as a watchman on the ship? Do you know what his responsibilities would have been, or?
I think he was
Was
a
it-
wheelsman for a little bit.
Yeah.
I guess watchmen they go around and keep an eye on, you know, possible things going, you know.
Yeah. That's a position in the pilot house, you know.
Sort of a self-explanatory
Yeah,
title.
yeah, kind of like iceberg.
Yeah.
Don't put that on.
Do you
We'll have
ever,
our bloopers reel.
do you ever have a wait till he passes?
Should have worn long johns. Holy
I got gloves in the car. You think I'd have them on? Goodness.
Do you ever think about him still sailing out there? In some ways.
Like a ghost ship.
You're right. Yeah.
I know Fred Stonehouse wrote, you know, the ghost ships of the Great Lakes. And
Yeah. Not like a ghost ship way, but you know, his spirit's still.
Yeah,
Still out
yeah, I don't doubt that at all. I mean,
Yeah.
we see it in the sunsets, we see it in the storms. You know, like we said, we have a tremendous respect and appreciation and love for that lake, even though it took our grandfather. Yeah, we're fascinated by it just like anybody else, but there's a deeper fascination because when we go out on the water or we go under and swim in the lake, there's that feeling that there's something out there. There is.
Do you think the Gordon Lightfoot song is the main reason, or at least the biggest reason there's so much interest in the Fitzgerald, or is it
Oh, yeah.
partially to that there were no survivors, and there is still the mystery that exists of, you know, 100% exactly what happened
Yeah.
to her? Do you think it's a combination of both, or is it more the Gordon Lightfoot
I
song
think
that brought?
the song opened the door for everyone else to
Yeah.
kind of let everyone know, you know, where, yeah, I'm pretty sure it was a,
Well, I don't think there's really any telling. Without the song, I mean, it brought attention to it. It didn't bring answers, and there were still going to be questions. There were still going to be dives. We probably would have still been led to this place, asking for protection of the site, and maybe the bell never gets raised. I don't know, but obviously, from a commercial standpoint, it definitely brought it out. But there were still a lot of conclusions that weren't met. A lot of people didn't agree with the Coast Guard report. Obviously led to fascination with other dives, starting with Cousteau and others in the early 80s. But the song obviously took it to another level.
All right, 2 more questions, then I
Sure.
promise we're done.
Okay.
We'll get out of the cold. I just wanted to show you a picture.
and then another one is with no communication or how it just went down so fast. That's another one that gets, you know what I mean, where
Yeah.
there was no radio call, no nothing. So that mystery there, I think, is a little factor too, that
Yeah.
there was nothing like that ever happened.
Yeah, we've had an opportunity to meet Gordon Lightfoot at his concerts, and he was very respectful to the families. My mother used to bring him a pasty. The first time she went to his concert, had a backstage pass, she brought him pasties in Green Bay, and she thought it would be funny every time she saw him ever since. But it's amazing that he wrote that song, and they recorded it on one take. It's
Yeah.
wild. They recorded it in the studio. He'd been working on it, and his band joined him in the studio, and so just kind of pick up on my lead.
Yeah.
And they recorded it, and the original version they recorded in the studio was the one that you heard on the air.
Wow.
Yeah. Crazy.
So
And they
one
could
time-
never make it work like that
Yeah,
again.
so it was like meant to be, you know, the things were lined up where this.
Yeah, and he got the idea from reading a newspaper about Reverend Ingalls chiming the bell 29 times when he heard in Mariners Church in Detroit that the Fitzgerald was lost.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think he looks like Kevin.
Hopefully, he had better luck with women than I do. No, shit, that's
Yeah.
bad.
What do you think of when you look at that picture of him?
That's Grandpa.
Yeah.
That's it. You know, there's no doubting that. He was a hardworking guy, and the big thing is he's a vet too. You know,
Yeah.
he's a Marine. You know, Kevin wanted to be a Marine.
And
didn't work out
the
for
Fitz
him.
went down on the Marine Corps' birthday, November 10th.
Yeah,
so
kinda
that
wild.
was kind of ironic as well.
My ma has a cross that he carried in Iwo Jima. And it's just crazy to think you could live through a battle like that and then lose the next on the Great Lakes 30 years later.
And for him to get a job on the lakes when he didn't know how to swim.
That's right. Famous story that I did mention earlier, my mom always used to tell us, yes.
You proud of him?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You know,
A veteran, you know, I mean, fighting in World War II, you know, I mean, yeah.
I didn't know him well, but really proud of my mother, Ruth Hudson, Janice Armagoss, Florence Benson, Debbie Champeau, and the other families.
Anything else either of you guys would like to add about the crew, your grandpa, 50 years later, how they should be remembered, how you hope people remember them 50, 75, 100 years from now?
Respectfully, that's why I'd like to just have respect for the family, have respect for the men that went down, you know, that's what I would want, you know.
Yeah, I just think there's an opportunity here, and being in the safety profession myself, and just understanding the work-family balance. And I talk about making safety personal. You can't get more personal than a tragic situation like this. And there's a lot to be learned, and there has been many changes in maritime law and safety since. And I think at the end of the day, people just have to understand, you know, the dedication, the courage, and the sacrifice that the maritime community, you know, not just across the Great Lakes, but across the oceans as well, they sacrifice a lot to support their families. And at the end of the day, we never got closure. Grandpa never came home, but
Yeah. Well, he still lives on.
yeah, exactly,
You
the
know,
legend
just-
lives on.